pupuri, kia whakamaua, kia tina, home e, hui e, tai e. Whakahonore tia te mana atua i te wahinaro I āna tauwhirotanga nui I ngā Waikatoa. Whakamanua tia tariki nui a Queenie ngā waihonu I te pō. Tangihia o tātou mate huhua o te wā huru noa I te motu. Haere, wahaina mai rātou ki runga I te whare ki o mate, kia tangihia, kia mihia, kia poroporo aki hia. Waiho aki rātou, kia rātou, tātou te hongo ora, e hui hui mai nei. Ko kingi tu heitia ki te rangi, ko Queenie ngā waihonu I te pō, ki te whenua, pai marere. He nā wai whakatiri tani whā, he nā maunga whakahi, puta noa I te rohi o te Nehenehenui, tēnā koutou. O tēnā tātou katoa, nau mai, haere mai ki te whare o te kanihera. Hera ko ana tēnā kau, ko tai mai koutou, ko tai tinana mai nei. Koutou ki rongi tūpurangi, e matakitaki mai nei, tēnā koutou. Koutou te Nehenehenui, kia koe Maria, e pai ki au, kua ka mahitahi ai I tō taha, tēnā koe. Koutou katoa o te Nehenehenui, koutou o te kaunihera o Ōtorohanga, Waitomo, Waikato district, Waipā district, tēnei te reo whakamihi o te kaunihera rohi o Waikato e mihi atu nei. Kia koe Gannon, Tipa, koutou ki runga tūpurangi nau mai, haere mai. Pai te kiti ia koutou. Pai te kiti kia koe Cassidy, I kororo maua ko Cassidy, te rā wiki mea mai Cassidy, kaore au I haere ki te whare o te kaunihera, nō reira, hia haere ai ki tēnei hui. Nō reira kia koe Cassidy, koutou, nā waiwai tapu I wainanui I a tātou, e pai te kiti a koutou, ko te tumanako nōku, mā te kaunihera rohi o Waikato, koutou nā waiwai tapu, e manaki pai, mihi matakui kui kia koutou. Mihi nui tēnei I tō tātou haere mai, kia hapai, kia tautoko te kaupapa, ke mua I a tātou hei painga mo te katoa o te rohi o te Nehenehenui. Nō reira e memutu aki I konei aku kōrero tēnā koutou, kia ora rā tātou katoa. Okay, so well, I'll just get Jess to just go through a bit of health and safety and a few other administration matters. We've got a bit of a car park risk over the road, so we want to make sure you're not going to get caught there. And then we'll do a bit of whakawhanaungatanga, and then we'll hop into our agenda proper. Just goes off. Okay, te pai. Yep.
Mōrena. If anyone is parked across the road in the private parking, that is a towable area. If you are, please let us know and we can arrange for you to park somewhere else so that your vehicle does not get towed. This meeting is being recorded today, and the open recording of the session will be uploaded to YouTube. Health and safety. Our toilets are out the door and to the left down the corridor. In the event of an emergency, please follow the direction of council staff. Our emergency exit is down the corridor and to the right. We will cross the road at the lights and would go to the park if our fire alarm or our duress alarm goes off. And for using your microphones, please push the right-hand button and wait for the red solid light to appear. That will enable you to speak and be heard to those online. We have a speaking order that manages up to 4 speakers at a time, so both co-chairs would have their Microphones on at all times, the speaker down the bottom. If you have a green light, you cannot be heard at the time, and the chairs will indicate when you are able to speak, and we will just manage the speaking order so that you can be heard. And if you have any issues, just let us know. Thank you.
Oh, tēnā koe, Jess. So any pātai on that one? Please make sure you're not caught in that car park thing. Yeah. Did you cover the toilets?
Yeah, so toilets just down the corridor and to the left.
Just FYI, you can only go in and out of the toilets one way without a swipe card. So if you inadvertently go out the other way and find you can't get out, don't panic, because the door at the other end doesn't need a swipe card. Yeah. Okay, so we might just go around the room, but a whakawhanangatanga. So, Kosti Nibain Tēnei, I'm an elected councillor for the Regional Council and represent the Waipā King Country constituency, which is Cambridge, up as far as Moko on the boundary with Taranaki. So I'll hand over to my colleague Maria and we'll go from there. Hang on.
Tēnā tātou kua hui mai nei tēnei ata. Ko Maria Mania Poto tōku ingoa. He uri a hau o Ngāti Pare Te Kawa. Ngāti Mania Poto me nai tū hoi. He tarahiti a hau, he trustee a hau mo te Nehenehenui. I'm the newly appointed co-chair for the Joint Management Committee representing Te Nehenehenui. So new that I only received the agenda last night, so I kindly thank Stu for leading us out today while I observe the protocols of conducting these hui. Just want to extend the mihi tēnā koe, Stuart, for our karakia, and wanted to extend the mihi out to our motu, out to our whānau, kua wehe atu ki te pō. I'd like to just quickly start by stating our he kupu no mō tātou tipuna awa hanui. Hangapaitia tātou ki a piri ai ki te piringa pono. Conduct us in a proper way so that we may be bound together by a bond of faith. And those are the kupu in which I sit in this chair and hope for the near future to conduct our business in this komiti. Haere kia ora.
Kia ora koutou. My name is John Robertson. I'm the Mayor of Waitomo. And thank you, Maria and Stuart, for welcoming us here, and pleased to be here again. Kia ora.
Morena tātou. Ki te kai karakia, tēnā koe, Stu. Me koe tahi tō kaha nei, tuku whai nei, I ngā tikanga Māori hei whakarite tō tātou hui, nō reira. Tēnā koe. Koeri mana waiti, tēnei mihi nei, Councillor of Waitomo District Council.
Morena tātou. Whena mana waiti tōku ingoa. Ngāti Mania Poto te iwi, Ngāti Rora te hapu. I'm a trustee of Te Nehenehenui. Kia ora.
Just got to turn your button off there, Shannon. Yeah. Cheers. Just once. And pull it nice and close, please, Mori Ora.
Oh, ne. Tigana. Okay, terrible.
Can I get you to pull it close, please, Mori Ora? Yeah. Tēnā koe.
Kia ora koutou. Toku ingoa ko Moi Ora Barry, your representative. Mokau ki runga. Te Nehenehenui. Tēnā koe.
Tuku mi kia koe, Stu. Good to see you again. It's been a little while.
Yeah.
Mind you, twice in a week. Yeah. Rondo Takere tuku ingoa. Current trustee for Te Nehenehenui, third term. I'm also one of the marae representative for Marakopa Pā. Within our region, we've got 7 marae, which, so starting from Marakopa, in my way inland, Toki Kapu, Poatuiri, Kapatui, Riri Amanu, Te Kauai, and Te Korapatu. So that's our area. within our Hauauru-Kiuta. So we're broken up to 7 regions. So I'm part of Te Whare Hauauru-Kiuta. Kia ora tātou.
Morena te whānau, a tuatahi, mihi ki a koe, a Stuart, whakatūwhera tā tātou hui te atanei. Kia ora te whānau, Sammy Kaire, toku ingoa, Group Chief Kaimahi for the board and a professional bag carrier.
Mauri ora ki te whare, Tremaine Murray toku ingoa, he kaimahi mō te Nehenehenui. Kia ora tātou.
Kia ora tātou, ko Chris Mackay toku ingoa, tūme whakarai a te kanahia rohi o Waikato, so Chief Executive, Waikato Regional Council. It's wonderful to be able to host you here today. Thanks for coming.
Tēnā tātou I te whare, tēnā koe Stu I whakatūwhera tā tātou hui, tēnā koe I te tia hau, ko Daumre Morgan hau no te no Raukawa ki Pane Hākua, whare pūhunga hoki, Ngāti Maniapoto Waikato, Māori ward for Waipā, but I'm the alternate for the Mayor, Susan. Tēnā tātou.
Ata maria tātou, tuku mihi ki au koe Stu, mō tō karakia me tō mihi ki a tātou I tēnei ata. Ko Tilly Turner tēnei, no te puaha o Waikato, and the Māori ward for Waikato District Council. Tēnā koutou.
Mari oro e te whare, tēnā koe Stu. Anō te mihi, mui o tātou hoanga. So kia ora, ko Jamie Tāmiki tēnei, Councillor for Ōtorohanga District Council and sit in the Māori seat for the Rangiatea Ward. Tēnā tātou.
Kia ora, Jamie. We'll just go quickly from you, Dave, down the side there.
Kia ora tātou, ko Dave Doggart, toku ingoa. I'm the Team Lead Democracy Services here at Waikato Regional Council.
Kia ora tātou, my name is Ashley Eden, I work in Tairanga Whenua.
Kia ora, ko Emily Tamisi toku ingoa, and I'm the summer student for Tairanga Whenua.
Kia ora tātou, ko Alethea Hikuroa toku ingoa, I'm the planning lead at Nehenehenui.
Kia ora tātou, Tipini Wilson, Pura Spiller. No Waikato no Manipoto engari e tautoko ana I te kaunihira o Waipā I tēnei wā. Kia ora tātou.
At least it missed your keyboard.
Yeah. Oh, well, morena, while they're going to get stuff to clean up the Hawaii, ko Cassidy Tamisi toku ingoa, mihi ana kia koutou. Yeah, great to be here. Aroha mai for being late, had to park the waka.
Tēnā tātou katoa, nei rā te mihi atu ki a koe te kai karakia ki ai tēnei ata. Ko ai tēnei, ko mai he paki tōku ingoa, ko au te kai whakahaere matua ki roto I te kaunihira o Waikato District Council. So tēnā tātou.
Kia ora koutou, ko Tani Kwapōtakuanga, Group Manager, Regulatory and Growth, Ōtorohanga District Council.
Kia ora, Alex Bell, General Manager, Strategy and Environment at Waitomo District Council.
Kia ora tātou, ko Kirsty Downey toku ingoa. I'm the Group Manager, Strategy at Waipā District Council.
Kia ora tautoko ngā mihi, ki te kai whakarite, Roger Lewis, Waikato Regional Council, Tairanga Whenua.
Mōrena tātou ko Māliahi Pine Ahau, he pautūhono o te kaunihira arohe o Waikato.
Kia ora, ko Paul Smith toku ingoa. I'm Zone Manager for Waipā West Coast.
Mi ora, morena, Patrick Whaley, I'm Biosecurity Biodiversity Manager, Waikato Regional Council.
Tēnā koe Kenan, can you hear us?
Ai, te tuku ana ngā mihi kua mihi aki a koe te rangatira e Stu. Nau hei tukuna te arawhata ki te runga rawa hei whakapai tō tātanei kaupapa. Mihi ana ki a koutou ngā kai kaunihira ko Kenan Ormsby taku ingoa. I'm a kurere representative and an alternate on the JMA. Kia ora tātou.
Are you there, Tipperary? I can't quite see who's online.
Mōre nai te whānau, nei anō te mihi kia koutou, Tipa Mahuta, Constituent Councillor Ngā Hau e Whāt, nei anō te mihi kia koe. Stu, mau e whakaere te hui mō te kaunihira arohe o Waikato, kia ora.
Just online. Anyone else out there on the internet?
Kia ora
No,
tātou. Ko Judy Van Rossum tōku ingoa. I'm a Specialist Policy Advisor in the Policy Implementation Team at the Regional Council.
Kia ora tātou, ko Grant Blackie aho. I'm the Waikato Regional Council Manager relating to the Waikato West Coast Catchment River work. I'm online from Taupo today, but I'm in support of Paul Smith's presentation. Kia ora.
Kia ora tātou, ko Tūtanga Douglas tōku ingoa, e mihi kawana tēnei ki te kaiwhakarite o te wā Stu, tēnei te mihi. E mahi ana au ki roto i te kaunihera rohe o Waikato, ki roto i te tīma tairanga whenua. Tēnā, tātou.
Okay, tēnā tātou.
Kia ora tātou. Ko Neville Williams tēnei, e mahi ana au mō te kaunihera rohe o Waikato, e tautoko ana hoki ngā mihi e a koe a Stu, i tēnei ata, no reira tēnā koutou.
Tēnā koe Neville, tēnā tātou katoa, nei mai haere mai. So we'll hop into our agenda proper now. So I'll call for apologies. I'll get Jess to read the ones out that we've got here.
Just an apology from Mayor Robertson for early departure.
And Mayor Susan, please.
Yes, Susan O'Regan.
And one from John Carty.
John Carty. Okay, I'll move those apologies. Can I have a seconder? And Dale Marie Morgan. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. We just have to confirm the agenda, and with Waitomo leaving early, we're just going to swap 6.4, which is Ōtorohanga District Council, to 6.7 with Waitomo. So Waitomo will go before Ōtorohanga. Other than that, is anyone have any questions in terms of the agenda for today? Oh, Tremaine.
Sorry, Stu, just for point for our trustees, so the agenda that was actually circulated is different to the run sheet for today. So just noting that the agenda items listed on the run sheet 6.2.3 are different to what's actually been circulated as part of the agenda pack.
Oh. Must be two. Oh. Was there two? There was a second agenda came out. I was just bouncing around in the back of my mind. Is Dave or Jess, can anyone enlighten us on whether there were any significant changes within that agenda pack? Two different versions other than format and timing?
I can help there. The second agenda that was published simply moved one of the items, that JMA scheduled development update, from open into a public excluded agenda, and the 2D paper was removed.
Well, so what was the 2D paper?
Off the top of my head, it was an integrated catchment paper.
Okay, yep, all good. Yep, cool. Okay, I'll move the agenda as is in front of us today be confirmed. Seconder, please. Jamie Tamaki seconding. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Now, do we have any disclosures of interest that haven't already been disclosed through previous forums? And if you think of one partway through the meeting as an agenda item comes up, you can disclose them then as well. Doesn't look like we have, so we'll keep going. We've done the health and safety statement, haven't we? So we'll move on to the minutes of the previous Te Nehenehenui Co-Governance Forum held on 18th of June. That's on page 7 of our agenda. fairly short and succinct. So does anyone have any corrections to those minutes? If not, could I have a mover and a seconder from that were present at that meeting, please? So Jamie Tamaki's happy to move, and Shannon, I know he's going to second. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Any matters arising from those minutes that aren't already covered off in the agenda that people want to raise? Oh, okay. So we'll go on to 6.2, which is our Waikato Biodiversity Accord update. Which is Judy, I think. Is it online? Kia ora, Judy, or Patrick maybe, I'm not sure. Judy, yep. Kia ora,
Kia
Judy.
ora. Morena, chairs, trust members and staff. Yes, I'm sorry I can't be with you there today. I'm not very well, so I'll do my best to present this item. But thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today about the Waikato Biodiversity Accord. So this report provides a progress update on the Accord with key stakeholders, which is the Accord is one of the goals in Council's strategic direction. So just to recap from the first time we brought this to the committee, regional councils have to prepare a regional biodiversity strategy under the National Policy Statement for Indigenous Biodiversity. And these strategies are essentially a community and stakeholder driven plan for restoring biodiversity in the region. So the Waikato Biodiversity Accord is like a first step in this process. It's a high-level non-statutory or voluntary agreement with key stakeholders and iwi partners as the first step to work together to develop a regional biodiversity strategy. So we are looking for a commitment from territorial authorities and iwi partners, also DOC, MPI and QE2 National Trust to support the Accord. And then we will launch into preparing the strategy. So it's really about starting off on the right foot in terms of relationship building and getting the right people in the room to tease out the biodiversity issues and priorities that we can include in the strategy. So the latest draft of the Accord is provided as an attachment to the agenda. It has a purpose statement, a set of principles, a framework for the regional biodiversity strategy, a statement of commitment, and short summaries of the main iwi environmental management plans. We also provided a companion document which has been compiled that provides some context to the Accord. This has been informed by feedback during the engagement process. So over the last few months, we've engaged further, particularly with territorial authorities and iwi partners. We've made some changes based on that feedback. And so some of the changes include, for instance, we've provided some context up front relating to tangata whenua, intergenerational guardianship and kaitiakitanga in respect of biodiversity. These are concepts that are inherent in the National Policy Statement as well. We've also reworked the principles, especially the first one around te tiriti, including recognition of tino rangatiratanga. The strategy framework provides some guidance about what we will include in the strategy. This includes working together with tangata whenua to enable alternative approaches for Māori land. That may include new use and development. And this is in response to feedback from iwi who want the Accord to recognise the historical barriers that tangata whenua have faced in occupying, using and developing their land. We've also included some summaries of iwi environmental management plans that draw out specific aspirations relating to biodiversity. So we tried to do this without going into too much detail, otherwise it would make the Accord quite a long document, but enough to signal these points so that they can be further explored and referred to when developing the regional biodiversity strategy. So the NPSIB is quite directive in terms of requiring regional councils to develop these strategies in a collaborative manner with tangata whenua, and this is where there will be opportunities for iwi entities to have specific input and to identify those issues and put forward their biodiversity goals for particular areas of their rohe. So our engagement process will need to ensure that this can happen. We'd like to finalise the Accord soon, and those who wish to become supporters of the Accord can endorse having their logo added to the document. But we maintain also, or just want to emphasise that the Accord is a flexible document that organisations can endorse at any time. We do acknowledge that the Accord's being developed at a time when there is a lot of policy movement at central government level and including in the biodiversity space. But we do remain committed to seeing the benefits of the Accord in stitching together those relationships that will allow us to navigate our way through the upcoming resource management reforms, to build on all the good biodiversity work that is being done, and to leverage resources and improve biodiversity outcomes for the region. So as we move into the next phase of planning for the biodiversity strategy, we'd be keen to hear from the committee about the best way to engage so that we can capture Te Nehenehenui's biodiversity priorities. So as I mentioned in the agenda paper, at this stage we're considering having some working groups around the region to get a wide range of views, but it'd be great to get your feedback on that. So that's probably the end of my short presentation, so it'd be great to, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Judy. So just to clarify my understanding, the document's pretty much ready for signing. All the parties that have been involved with putting it together are all in a pretty good space, so that signing process is just going to quietly happen over the next month, I guess, and then as you said, it starts to become how do we operationalise it, I suppose. So Sam, you've got a pātai.
Yeah. Morena, Judy, e mihi ki ana koe moto mahi me tēnei pepa. Engari, he pātai kia mātou. Firstly, we aren't in a position where we want to sign this document currently in its format. The rationale behind that is that it's not clear to us the commitment and the resourcing requirements, as well as the just a lack of understanding around expectations. Also, the question we have is, which iwi have you worked with? From Te Nehenehenui's perspective, we've had peripheral involvement, and so we would like to understand how we can support the kaupapa, because we do think it is a valid kaupapa as part of a requirement for WRC, but we do need greater level of engagement than what we've had.
Thank you. So through the chair, I'm happy to
Yeah,
answer
no,
that.
you go, Judy, yeah.
So we haven't worked with specific iwi as part of Te Nehenehenui. We haven't kind of gone to that level with our engagement at this stage. So that is our intention, though, to do that as part of the engagement for the regional biodiversity strategy, which is like the next stage, which is a longer process and more involved in terms of developing those or gathering input in terms of priorities and issues around biodiversity. So this is really about the principles of working together and wanting to be able to move forward in that direction to do the strategy.
So I guess in response to Sam's specific question, are you able, Judy, to work with them to perhaps get to this next stage? Is that sort of what you're looking for, Sam?
Yes, as just for our own level of clarity, Te Nehenehenui is the post-settlement governance entity on behalf of Ngāti Maniapoto.
Yeah.
So when we hear that iwi have been worked with and we who represent our people in that space are unfamiliar, we just wanted to make sure we were understanding of expectations, cost, resource, and time. But we do think that this is a valid kaupapa, and we understand it, and we don't wish to be against it, but we also are unaware of it. So therefore, as a significant party within the iwi, we just want to make sure that we can support and facilitate where is that required.
Yep, makes sense. Nick Gannon, have you got a pātai online there?
Yeah, look, thank you very much, Judy, for the mahi that you've done to date. In regards to the implementation of the strategy, our expectation is that specifically around ngā wai or maniapoto across our tribal estate, is that whatever the work programs that are developed, that our people, our kaitiaki, our marae, our Māori practitioners, because we've got significant waterways. We have 3 headwaters, the Waitara, the Wainui Arua, and also the Waipā within our tribal estate. We also have significant areas of dock estate within our tribal area. My expectation is that through your engagement with not just Te Nehenehenui as the settlement trust, but also directly with our kaitiaki and all our whānau that work within Te Nehenehenui are part of the mahi or the work programs within Te Nehenehenui. Is that something in regards to the strategy, the intent is to have that happen?
I might answer through the chair.
Yep.
So that is definitely the intention. We are hoping to perhaps have some working groups that are area based. So we would like to be able to engage with particular iwi in those areas. It's just that we haven't had that haven't had the resourcing and the time to do that for the Accord, and also we wanted to keep the Accord at a higher level. But in terms of the strategy is really where the rubber hits the road. It's the nutting out on, in terms of where the priorities are and what the actions could be to improve biodiversity, and that's really where those detailed conversations would happen.
Thank you very much, Judy. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Gannon.
Judy. Anyone else got any pātai? Oh, Jamie?
Kia ora, Judy. Thank you for your mahi. Hey, just probably food for thought. So when we talk about iwi in different rohe, the structure of our probably area is quite interesting. So although we have Te Nehenehenui that sit inside as looked upon as the iwi entity, in Waitomo District Council you actually have Waikato Tainui Taharo o Ngāti Mahuta Saranda, and they don't often have any lens over some of this stuff. So it would probably be helpful if you're going to do some of the strategy to reach out to some of them to look at what it looks like for them outside of this forum. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Yeah, Ronnie.
Kia ora, Judy. This biodiversity has many faces. Us along the coast, coast care is a great example. So you are doing stuff, but it's and this is basically being led by hapu. So when we talk about iwi, I know who you're talking about. No, we've got a mandate iwi authority, which we are here, but a lot of the stuff that WRC does is with our hapu, with some of our marae. That's not captured in here. And I can use the example of Marakupa as one of them, Kira Te Here. Actually, you can start down to Puha with Coast Care, right down to Moko now. When it comes to biodiversity within our areas at Marakupa, and I'm talking about working with the WRC when it comes to spraying. So it's there, but it's not captured. So you've got a big area. I don't know how you're going to capture all these things. And another thing too, just to note, when it comes to our why, so biodiversity, so, when it comes to like monitoring water, so the biodiversity in our streams, so where's that evidence as well? In my experience, what needs to happen is that the other government departments need to be working together. They seem to be going on their own tangents, and I'm talking about the Department of Conservation. I'm talking about the Fisheries New Zealand, MPI. So it's about how do you fellows all work together. And I remind everyone, you know, everything starts from the sky, falls onto the ground, but unfortunately, and then goes out into our waterways, into the sea. But each area's got their own part, but it's all for Māori, it's all combined, and that's not in there as well. So, kia ora. E whakaaro.
Thanks, Ronnie. Chris, yeah.
Yeah, kia ora for that. Just in response to the last comment about, you know, the outcomes we try and seek, be it on land, in the way. I think the government is looking towards more of a catchment focus than they've done in the past. And we're hopeful that will help bring us all together to have that discussion, because it's all very well doing things to make things better, but you need to know what your outcome is, what you've got to start with, and what you're trying to achieve. So I think that's where we're going to pivot towards some of what we're doing. And I was just thinking, Sam, of you know, what you're looking for the Accord. Can I just check? So you're just wanting a bit more kōrero about the intentions of the Accord with Te Nehenehenui?
Yeah, it was more as the, you know, just under our JMA that we're all here today under, representing the view of the iwi on behalf of Te Nehenehenui. We just hadn't been really in the mix to have that kōrero, so we can't kind of just give it the full sign off until we do it. It's not to say we're not in line with what the process is or what the outcomes should be. It's more about giving our whare, because Ronnie's mentioned it, Gannon's mentioned them. We need to make sure that our 7 whare all have the opportunity to understand what this is and the influences it may have on their people, our kaitiaki that work within those whare. Because if we signed off something today and then I showed up at our next whare hui, I'm pretty sure I'd have my ears pricked and pulled out of the room for a little individual kōrero with each one of them. So it's about respecting the mana of those 7 whare and ensuring the representatives today have that chance to mahitahi ki a rātou mo te iwi.
Yeah, ka pai. And so, Judy, I hope you've got enough what the go forward is that we need.
One last thing, Judy, not to make it complicated. We, Tremaine and I, were happy to facilitate all those things so that you don't have to feel like you have to chase them. We're happy to help and support and make those things an outcome, because we think our people will want to have a strong view. We just want to be able to support you to get that done as quickly as possible.
Thank you.
That's probably the same with me too, Judy. Not to say go to Waikato Tainui as a collective, but to the runanga that falls out of Waikato Tainui, which is te runanga o Ngāti Mahuta. So, kia ora.
Okay. Now, look, thanks, Sam and Jamie as well. I feel like we've got a pathway forward now. So, yeah, no, thank you very much. Another pathway from Gannon online.
Yeah, look, thank you, Chris, for that feedback in regards to a catchment approach or sub-catchment approach. I think in an integrated way on how we work together will provide clarity in regards to what are the work programs within Ngā Wai o Maniapoto, and then it can allow the whare of Te Nehenehenui to identify how they're going to participate. Also, across our kaitiaki and our Māori providers that work in this space, it will give clarity on how we're doing collaboration. And I think that's the key part to it, is everyone just wants to know how can we participate, how can we collaborate strategically to ensure that we get the mahi done. And that's it for me. I think this is a good step towards us working together in a more proactive way. It's the tangible co-management and action processes that I'm looking for, but it has to be at the grassroots. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Chris. Kia ora tātou.
Kia ora.
Kia ora, Judy. Thank you for your presentation today. I have to admit my ignorance on this kaupapa, and for that reason, I wouldn't
personally be able to endorse the agreement today. However, we'll endeavour to work with our taiao team to become more familiar with the kaupapa in the near future. Just a couple of points with regard to the national policy statement, actually, and the wording and the use of the concept of tangata whenua. As Sam said, our whare operate at the mana whenua level, so just something to consider there. And just one question really around the naming of the accord. Waikato, if we're sitting here representing Te Nehenehenui and Maniapoto, how do we incorporate Maniapoto identity into this accord?
Is that something you would want me to answer? I'm not sure I can answer that.
How do we incorporate our identity as Maniapoto covering Te Nehenehenui in the naming of this accord?
So I think, to be fair, Judy, it's probably not a question that's come up in the past. Yeah, I mean, have you got some suggestions, Maria?
Just because you're asking me, it would be Waikato Maniapoto.
Yeah.
Okay.
So can we take that one away and probably come back to you guys on how we might accommodate that? Yeah. Yep. Cool. Okay. Okay, so everyone's sort of happy with where we've landed on that one. Thank you, Sam, for that constructive way forward. Appreciate that. And we'll leave it in your hands, Judy. So we've got thank you, Judy. We've got a recommendation on page 13, which is just to receive the report. So we'll just have a mover and a seconder that we receive the report. So Jamie is going to move, and got a seconder, please. And Dale Marie is going to second. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thanks, Judy. So our next agenda item is a summary of WIC's ICM activities for the year, which is Paul Smith. Welcome, Paul, to the table, and we've got Grant Blackie online as well. So I'll hand over to you, Paul. And we've got Patrick Whaley at the table as well. Yeah.
Kia ora. I will just get the presentation going by sharing my screen. Just want to acknowledge Patrick here in support. The paper itself is quite a collaborative effort covering both pest animal, pest plant, biodiversity and the river and catchment teams. The agenda incorporates the annual report, pest management, which covers plant and animals. So we're not intending to cover that today in this presentation. Rather, this will focus more on the river and catchment and biodiversity side of things.
Thanks, Paul.
Just a bit of a start. What does catchment work include? Very much working with individual landowners, individual properties, steep hill country retirement, which can include indigenous bush, just getting the stock out of those areas. Wetland and riparian protection, quite large setbacks and native planting in those areas. Where we have significant erosion or potential erosion on our steep hill country, we use quite a lot of pole planting, whether that be poplar or willow cultivars, and then afforestation as well, retiring these steep areas of land and then planting them up predominantly in native species and predominantly Manuka Kanuka to start, with some mixed native to come through in time. So when we talk about catchment work, that's sort of the things we're talking about. With regards to awa and river management work, certainly fixing erosion is one of the big things. Storm damage and things like that can create quite a significant amount of erosion. And again, that's direct sediment going into the awa. Managing pest vegetation that's pushing the awa left and right, also creating erosion issues. Bank stability, once we get those banks stable, then getting those co-benefits out as far as native planting, just to secure those banks, get that root mass in place, bring those biodiversity benefits through. And then things like gradient control structures. These are in-stream structures, just to hold the bed level where it is. It also provides additional habitat as for fish species and things like that, and creates a bit more of a run, riffle, pool scenario, so a diverse habitat within the awa. Again, when we talk about river management activities, those are the things we cover. How do we prioritise our work? Well, each of the management zones, so in this case, sort of the Waipā and the West Coast, have a zone plan that contains sort of a directive as how staff in the river catchment space work in those areas, the opportunities available to community. The West Coast Zone Plan has just gone through a light review, and so that should be available on our website within the next couple of days. Within those zone plans, it takes direction from a lot of other documents. Obviously for the Waipā catchment, the Waipā Waikato restoration strategy is one of the significant documents feeding into that. Also the environmental management plan is a document that feeds into that and allows us to create and direct priorities. There's quite a bit of modelling work that goes on as well. The map on the right-hand side just shows soil risk, soil loss risk, and those red areas you can see predominantly through the West Coast and western side of the Waipā catchments. Again, using that sort of science, those sort of modelling approaches, we've been able to direct our work into the areas that need it most. Some of our measures, we are required to spend 80% of our budget within those priority catchments to try and make the biggest difference. The map there relates to that southern Waipā catchment, southwestern Waipā catchment, and those areas in sort of the purpley colour are the sediment and erosion catchments that we're currently focused in. We have good funding support from external agencies as well, which enables us to go to landowners and trusts with a significantly better offer than we might otherwise be able to. And so Waikato River Authority is certainly one big party there. And we have to acknowledge MPI through the Hill Country Erosion Fund as well. When we look at those catchments, there's a lot of steep hill country there. And working with the WRA and MPI, we're able to get quite a bit of good work done. In the rivers space, certainly dealing with erosion in rivers after the storm events, sort of in the Cyclone Gabriel time, we have a partnership at the moment with Crown Infrastructure Partners, solely focused on protection or erosion protection, erosion reduction in our river systems. And when working with individual landowners, individual properties, there's third-party funding available to them as well. Some approach QE2 if it's an Indigenous bush block. Ngā Whenua Rāhui is also another great option. And internally within WRC, we work closely with our biodiversity teams around funding opportunities there.
Just while you're on that one, Paul, Gannon's just asked a question online. Are you working with marae, mana whenua and kaitiaki, and what is that like within our tribal estate?
Yeah, we are probably not working directly with marae. That's not to say we don't have specific individual projects. These approaches are voluntary, working with landowners and trusts and entities that want to work with us. So it's when we have approaches from individual, whether it be individual farm trusts, whether it be individual marae, we certainly look at partnership opportunities there. To say it's a comprehensive approach at the moment.
Kia ora, can I just extend on behalf of Mga Toatoa Pā, as a trustee of the marae, we would be very interested to engage with you on this kaupapa.
Yeah, just a question. How are marae and whānau able to make contact? Is there a...
Yeah, and I guess that's one of the issues, one of the things why we're bringing papers like this, just making our mahi a little bit more visible and things like that. We've got great connection with the Nehenehenui team. We have recently, for these catchments, just sent out a newsletter to landowners in those catchments, just letting them know the opportunities for these catchments for hosting a drop-in day in Tikawiti, where people can just call in and see us and have a conversation. We find those drop-in days really useful where people are reluctant to engage with the council. They can come to us, meet the team, have a look at our mahi, and then from there decide whether they want to invite us to farm. Because this is very much a partnership. We don't go on farm unless we're invited in this case.
When are you in Tikawiti?
16th.
Thank close,
Yeah, 16th of December. Just from 10:30 through until 2:30, just in the District Council Railway building there.
Okay, so I just got a bit more from Gannon online, Paul. Yeah. Gannon?
Kia ora, Paul. Kia ora, Patrick. Paikiti a korua. Look, obviously there's synergies here with the biosecurity mahi and the catchment mahi that you're doing, and also obviously with our settlement in Ngā Wai o Maniapoto. Obviously, what I'd like to see is some consistency in regards to engagement, or some proactive relationship building with our whānau. What I'd like to see is that we have got kaitiaki working alongside with river catchment services and doing mahi, and our marae be involved in regards to what's happening within their takiwā. I think this is an important part of the mahi of collaboration, working together in regards to looking after our, not just our waterways, but obviously the whenua. But I just really want to signal to you that going forwards, it would be helpful for us to identify how that can that engagement can start to happen, and would like to see a more proactive way on how we can work together and have those discussions earlier.
Hi.
That's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you. And I guess when I look at, for example, the Karakia Harbour Catchment Plan, that's the most recent updated plan that's gone through considerable consultation and things like that. It's quite clear in its directives as far as consultation and collaboration, and probably more so than we've had in the past as well. So once we have that in print, again, the zone plan should be available in the next couple of days. The harbour catchment plan will be the next. Makes for much easier reading, much easier comprehension as to the opportunities that are there. So we will send those around once they are available. If we look at the catchment management outputs for the financial year through to June 2024, there's been some great mahi done. And again, keeping in mind this is with individual landowners, with individual trust blocks, over the West Coast Waipā zones, total of about 70 kilometres of new fencing to exclude stock from critical areas, 185,000 native plants, protecting or retiring from stock access close to 570 hectares of land. So an amazing amount of mahi that's going on by individuals out there in the community with support from the regional council and our funding parties. Just some examples of recent work, West Coast examples in this case, around Karakia Harbour, some fencing and planting there, much bigger setbacks, some native plants going in there just to get some biodiversity benefits coming through in the past, coming through in the future, sorry. A simple solution, just fencing to exclude stock. You can see the native bush there, just with a nice new fence around it, keep the stock out. A sphagnum moss little wetland, sort of in the Awakino catchment, previously had stock access close to it. the team have worked with the landowner there to exclude stock and plant around that now, just to make sure it's got a great level of protection. And the bottom right photo is just some retirement and afforestation in the Karakia catchment. The focus being if we can treat that steep land, reduce the amount of sediment loss from that steep land. In turn, we can enhance the awa and the Karakia harbour as a receiving body. Talking about some specific partnership projects now, Waipā Trust, this is out in the Nui area. We've had a long relationship with Waipā. They've been fantastic to deal with. Originally, it started from a river management perspective, just dealing with some erosion issues and blockage issues on the Ōtorohanga river itself. That then developed into the trust looking at some of their steep land just below the marae. They've got some indigenous bush there and some steep land that wasn't really suitable to have heavy stock on it. So we worked with them to retire that and plant it up in Manuka and other mixed natives. Most recently, there was an area on the floodplain there that was always sort of wet, and working with the trust and certainly in consideration of rules and things like that, we saw a great opportunity there to develop that as far as tuna pond habitat and enhancement, which was done this last season. The trust itself has got a great relationship with Nehenehenui School, which is an enviro school, and so they've had the children from the school there quite often, including a couple of planting days around that tuna pond. And most recently, we've been there with Ngā Whenua Rāhui, who are looking at potential kawanata areas on that trust block. Trust Waiwaia in Mangawhero Stream, Ōtorohanga most recently. This built on a pilot project developed with Te Tahitanga Marae. Also have to acknowledge great support from Ōtorohanga District Council that had their own project, both of those with support from WRA. In this case, the regional council involvement's largely been in the river management space, just removing pest willow, addressing erosion issues. And then the Trust Waiwaia came through with a planting day, which was very well attended and a fantastic day. We'll continue to work with the trust just to make sure those plants get established and those weeds stay maintained. And certainly acknowledging the district council as landowner there, working with the leasees, just to arrange those much bigger setbacks and the good fencing in place. Punu River Care is another key partnership project we have. They have quite a few of their own projects, and we support those by undertaking the river management activities. So removing those pest willow, making sure the erosion issues are fixed, and then they come through with their fencing and planting projects into those areas. We, as part of support to a couple of their projects, we've had annual field days, tended to be focused on sort of the ecology and fish and culvert assessments and things like that in partnership with our science directorate. Really well attended, fantastic opportunities. We've got sort of Josh on the left there. Just gives them an indication as to how it's undertaken, and then the team get in and pull up the nets and measure and weigh, and everything that is caught is released safely back into the awa again as well. On the right, we have Michael from science, who is going through the macroinvertebrates, the bugs and insects found in the awa. We also have intern and cadet opportunities. The intern opportunities have been fantastic. Generally, as interns, they'll come in for maybe 3 months, spend time with our teams, but also have a good look around council as a whole. It's a big organisation that covers quite a diverse range of activities. And so for those interns to be able to get a feel for that and have a look around is fantastic. Tahoe on the right-hand side, he's in the rugby league jersey. He came in as an intern, then developed a fixed-term position, and most recently has got a permanent position as a catchment management officer with the team. Sylvia crouching down, she came in as an intern and has returned over the summer months, working with us now for the next 3 months to until sort of late February, March, which is fantastic. The cadet positions tend to be more field-based. They follow our river team around, follow our catchment team around, just to have a look at what we're doing out in the field and get an understanding as to why we're doing it, the type of things we're looking for. So great partnerships there. Shifting a little bit more into the biodiversity focus, Pītawa Reserve, this is sort of west of Tikawiti, large kakatea remnant there. These areas are just south of that on just some properties there, some trust blocks, and it's all owned or leased by a large farming entity there. The rivers team from WRC have focused very much on the mangapu, again, fixing erosion, addressing any pest plant issues. The biodiversity and catchment teams have then come through with planting programs, infill planting programs, looking just to create a better connection between the remnants and the mangapu itself and those remnants in Pītawa Reserve itself. The maps there on the bottom right of the slide, the middle one is taken from the restoration strategy, just showing what sort of the ideal outcomes, those kakatea remnants protected. The image on the bottom right is actually from our own database showing what has been achieved over the last sort of 5 years. And it's a really good match now. Those kakatea remnants have stock excluded. There's been some infill planting around them. And we'll continue to watch that work develop. Addressing some of the other shallow lakes and wetland program, again, quite a big program of works. Our peat lakes especially are quite a unique feature through the Waikato. Most recently, there's been some work done around Lake Millisich at Ruka here, just some pest control and infill planting. And we are a party to the Waipā Peat Lakes and Wetlands Accord group as well, which do a lot of great mahi. And as mentioned, the coast care, certainly through the west coast, is quite significant. That photo there was the first year of planting at the Mokau Coast Care group. So, you know, fantastic community involvement, fantastic opportunities there that WRC are very happy to support. Just to finish off, obviously fences have immediate benefit, stock exclusion immediate benefit. Some of our planting programs take a little bit longer to develop and see those through. These ones, again, just some before and afters sort of thing. Large 36 hectare block of land right beside the Moakururua stream. The landowner there worked with us and the Waikato River Authority basically just to retire that. And we planted that out in Manuka. So that's continuing to grow and develop now. The other images are from around Honakiwi Hall, still in that same catchment. And again, difficult bits of land for the landowner to manage, a lot of wetlands, a lot of seeps. It made more sense for them with the funding opportunities available, partnerships available, just to retire and plant those areas up. And they are, yeah, they continue just to look better and better and better. Then in the river management space, again, some before and afters. This is on Honakiwi Road. You can see in the top left photo the severe erosion there, very little fencing in place. Following, well, over the summer season, we installed these little rock groins. We don't tend to use a lot of rock if we can. It's expensive. We tend to try and go with soft options of vegetation. In this particular case, the erosion was so severe and that carries quite a lot of energy that those rock groins were the best option. You can see as it's developed, the bottom left photo, there are plants in there, the native plants are there. You've got some willow poles there just to protect those riverbanks. And then virtually, 10 years later, that's what it looks like as of February 2024. Very well vegetated, very little erosion. those little stub groins have become sort of naturalised in there as well. So thank you very much. That officially ends the presentation part.
Hey, thanks, Paul. That's well, a big part of what we do here, of course, or while we're here is how we manage and care for the tile. I don't want to constrain questions because I know there'll be probably quite a few. I'm just conscious that John and Eddie need to get away. Have we got a lot of questions? Because if we have, I'll just get John to jump in quick and do his thing, and then we'll go back to this kaupapa. But if there aren't very many questions, then we'll wrap this one up and go to John.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Yep.
The team are certainly available for questions at any time.
Yep. Okay then. Yeah. Mui Ora, have you got a pātai? Yeah.
So the different areas that you focus on, is it beneficial that as each area comes up, you work alongside other people within that area? Do you focus to each area to provide or certain catchment of that area where you can produce not just to the people from there, but for the whole catchment throughout?
Yes, yeah, the opportunities are available to the catchment as a whole. We don't tend to chop and change around priorities too much because it takes time to build up those relationships, takes time to build up that momentum, to get that mahi in place. It's only been recently that we have started to extend some of those catchments, moving into the lower Waitomo, taking in the upper Mangapu. That's only been a recent development, as some of those other catchments have done a significant amount of work. And it is all voluntary activities. There's nothing that I've shown to date that is required. So these are landowners or trusts that see the advantage in doing this type of mahi on their properties. And yeah.
Just a question from me. I see within Te Nehenehenui, 3 organisations receive financial support and financial support. I'm just interested in that. It says there in your reports a small financial contribution. What kind of money are we talking about there?
So that was at Waitomo River Care?
Yeah, Waitomo River Care.
Yeah, so as part of their WR application, we put in support, a letter of support, and similar to the last application, I think we put in the range of about $10,000 towards their project, towards the plants and planting activity part of their projects.
Thank you.
Hey, I've got quite a few questions coming, so I'm just going to make Jess's life difficult and flip over to John for 5 minutes, and then we'll come back. Eddie's got a pātai as well, which I'll sure, so I'll just move that the report be received. A seconder from Jamie. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. If you could just stay there, please, Paul. And so I'll hand over to you, John, and then we'll do your one, and then we're good to get going here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is just the brief report from Waitomo District Council on some things we just wanted to highlight, really bring to your attention.
So that's page 139 for everyone.
So the first thing we want to mention is just 4 things. The district plan review, we're at the end of, or coming to the end of the district plan review. Alex is sitting over there, who's been through this for many years now, but we've completed the hearings, and just want to acknowledge while I'm here, Mariah Hapu, who have assisted us as we've gone through the years of getting to the completion of a district plan. So we hope by April next year to be complete. Secondly, we talk about the future of the Waitomo district landfill. There's not a lot of councils left in New Zealand that own landfills, and as you know, for this area, a lot of the landfill waste heads up north to Hampton Downs, And so we've got a bit of a duopoly with waste management and enviro-waste, I guess ending up with the big landfills in New Zealand. So we're looking closely currently at our landfill. These things as waste decreases, landfills get less waste, and you have troubles or running small landfills relative to the competition of the very big guys. So we're going through a process now with our landfill that's sitting in Te Kuiti as to what the options are looking to the future. Thirdly, we mentioned that we are investing in a water resilience or the drinking water project in Te Kuiti. So we're upgrading some reservoir capacity and upgrading pipes underground. For us, it's quite a big project, probably a $10 million project, investing in securing, improved and drinking water. And lastly, just letting you know that we signed up, I think last week, in our November meeting actually, to the Waikato Waters Done Well project. So that's the regional project, with the exception of Hamilton and maybe Waikato district. The rest of the councils are coming together around cooperating and joining together on a potential what was 3 waters, a 2 waters type project for going forward. So we've signed up to that. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, John. Any pātai for John? No? Okay. Eddie, do you want to just do your catchment question to Paul?
Yeah. Kia ora, Paul. Strong focus on the river and the catchment area, fencing, all that. Where do you think the source of the issue lies?
The source of the issue?
So why you have all the fencing and the planting? Well, so if we looked at it medically, that's you're doing well, and the partnerships look encouraging. I love all the kōrero around the involvement. I really appreciate it. The human aspect of pointing out nephew in the league jersey and all that. But and caring, I can see you have genuine care for our river. But where do you think the source is? Why are we putting all these things in place for symptoms? Where do you think the real source lies of the issue?
Yes, it comes back to land use and appropriate land use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you working with that?
We are in the incentive side of it. So we are offering funding support and information and advice to get that sort of mahi done. Outside of that, council is working in that space through our regulatory team and certainly with our industry team in preparation for the likes of Plan Change 1 and things like that, which will look more closely at land use.
I appreciate how difficult it is to tell a person that owns a land that, if you have a healthier soil, perhaps it will be more positive for our river, and animals will stay further up because the kaisi, perhaps they only go down the river because there might be better kai or water and such. But I was just curious because there seems to be a strong focus on funding and mitigating river health at the river, which is pai, and it employs our people too, which is pai. But I think there might be a better alignment, and Ronnie talked about Rangi and Papa there, that better alignment if we perhaps go 500 or kilometre up from the river and put the same amount of resource and knowledge, scientific knowledge and mātauranga Māori knowledge there to support our landowners, perhaps. But
And sorry, acknowledging our partnership with MPI and WRA and the Hill Country program is very much focused on that steep land, coming up with other uses or putting in mitigations in place to try and stop that sediment loss, knowing that ultimately the Arwa is going to be the receiving body. So very much working in the hill
Yeah,
country.
I hope that that's followed through with, because it's not just sediment loss, it's carbon loss as well, and that reflects on the carbon footprint for landowners, which is somewhat unfair to some degree, because it's Mother Nature saying, well, you know, it's going to rain hard today, and with all that erosion and stuff, there's huge carbon loss from our soil, which reflects on the landowners. But appreciate the presentation.
No.
And loving the photos. So thank you. Thanks, Stu.
Cheers, Eddie. So John and Eddie, are you happy to move and second the receipt of your report? Yep. So all those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thanks, John and Eddie. Appreciate your contributions. And yep. Okay. Okay. I've just been told Eddie can't second it because he's an alternate. So look, I'll second it, and or Jamie will do it. Yep. Thanks, Dave. My fault. Now, before you disappear, Paul, are there any more pātai for Paul? Are you able to join us for lunch as well? Yep. Yeah, absolutely. That'd be good. Thanks. Yeah. Okay. Kei te pai. Yep. Oh, Mui Order has one more pātai.
Apologies, just one more question. You go back 20 years and to what's happened from there to now. Have you had a report out on the changes and the differences?
There was a recent report done by Tim Norris of our science team looking at the type of activities we do. I can't give the outcomes of that right at the moment, but there is a paper that was presented to ICMC. If it's of interest, we could certainly get that circulated, because it was a very interesting paper looking at the type of activities we're doing and are we seeing the benefits come through from that.
So I asked that question because in the 50s, we took all the willows out. We paid for that.
Yep.
That was a requirement of the where it was situated. The cost was quite high. Now, we're putting back in trees to grow. So what I'm saying is, in your reports, you would have the first stages where the original native trees were taken out, replaced with willow, and then we had to take that out, the farmers or whoever, and now we're replacing them again. So it's a 50-year report I'm talking to, and the difference is what we receive in the next 10 years. It would be interesting to see that.
Yes.
And the differences of cost and where we've got to today. Because it's still happening.
Yes.
As you know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Paul. Jamie.
Just from me, Paul. I see in your report you've got Coyote protection programs. Just probably a little information pack for you. If possible, could make contact with Tama Blackburn at Nehenehenui.
Yes. Yep.
Around the Coyote out at Kawhia.
Yes.
Because they're healthy. And they've got a bit of a mana whenua kaitiaki team working to build an entity that incorporates the moana around, in particular, that block of up at Te Kauri Lodge, to look at replanting the northern block down into the gully where things. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So just food for thought.
Yes. Yeah. I attended the hui at Te Whare.
So they're doing, the taiao is doing the moana, but the whānau are doing up at Te Kauri Lodge. So, yeah. Ka pai.
Very good.
Okay, we're all good. Okay, did we move and receive that report? We did. Okay, so thank you, Paul. And yeah, it would be good if you come to lunch, because I think there'll be a few extra pātai, so we'll see you then, yeah. So we're now Waikato District Council, I think. So Ōtorohanga. Oh, it doesn't. Who's going to go first? Doesn't matter. Ōtorohanga, okay. Mai koroa.
Kia ora, just before Cassidy jumps off, Mr. Chair, I'd like to tautako Paul and Waikato Regional Council for the work they've helped us with a roaming horse issue in Aotea.
Oh.
So we had a long-standing issue there, and with Waikato Regional Council's help, and Waikato Tainui, we've fenced off some of the area now. So biodiversity gain and social gains as well. So just want to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Oh, no, thanks. Yeah.
Perhaps also through the chair, mihi ana kia koutou, also touching on Paul's kōrero with regard to some of the mahi they've done along the mangawhero. Just wanted to highlight that partnership aspect, working alongside the marae, but also local business owners, so Waiora, but also the opportunity it gave for whānau mokopuna to come and to plant the rākau. Specifically, these were saplings that were harvested from Hui Putea in Ōtorohanga, that Ōtorohanga District Council supported alongside, I believe it was the Maniapoto Māori Trust Board at the time. And so, yeah, there's all these different threads that connect into working towards achieving biodiversity at a local level, and wanted to kind of highlight that Paul's mahi and his teams. And,
Noted. No, thank you. Can I get you to pull that mic a bit closer, Cassie?
Oh, sorry.
Yep. No, ours aren't as good as your Ōtorohanga one, so.
Ka pai. Was happy to take this as read, but acknowledging our new co-chair, Tēnā koe te whanaunga. I'll just touch on some of the kōrero. So the first one being the economic wellbeing strategy. This is a high-level strategy that gives guidance to Ōtorohanga District Council on the opportunities, but also the challenges that we as a district and part of the wider region may be facing. Specifically, it outlines those key opportunities, but also gives an idea around what role Ōtorohanga District may play in taking up those opportunities or addressing some of those challenges. So what's really key within there is identifying our role, whether it's a lead agency, a partner agency, or whether we're advocating at more a legislative level. But one of the key things that came out of that in terms of the strategic vision was, and it's not necessarily economic well-being, just figures, numbers, putia, but rather the strategic vision outlines the people and environment across Ōtorohanga District to thrive with opportunities for everyone to live their best lives. So it moves in line with some of the mahi we've been doing alongside our long-term plan, but also works to bring forward the more social, environmental aspirations that our wider community wants to achieve. Moving through the report, I just want to touch on the district plan review. So Waitomo District Council touched on theirs. For us, in regard to our 10-year statutory review for our district plan, which is due in 2025, ours is currently on hold, as ourselves and perhaps other local authority partners here are seeking clarity and guidance from central government in regard to proposed reforms. So if you have any other questions regarding that, I've got my colleague Tony here who can answer more to that. Moving on to the next item, the Māori engagement framework. So that's something that I myself, alongside our consultant from Kia Tipu Limited, is working to develop. When the role that I'm in, the Kaitaka Wainga, was established, this was following a number of other key documents such as Council Mark Review, and also the aspirations of our elected members at the time. Part of that mahi moving forward is understanding how Ōtorohanga District Council can engage better, and providing that, that foundational document that can give guidance to staff and elected members. So that's something that is in development, working towards completing that and the implementation plan early 2025. To touch on the next item is our shared services. So alongside Waipā District Council and Waitomo District Council, Ōtorohanga District Council has been engaging to develop an agreement with regard to shared services. For many of us here who know, I guess, the lay of the whenua and how close in proximity our councils are, just a 20-minute drive down the road, there's some real opportunities there for shared services across our entities. So there's perhaps an update to come later on or perhaps in the new year. So another area that kind of loops back to our economic wellbeing strategy, and the next agenda item on number 9, Te Pungo Te Hapori, anchor organisations. So that is a piece of mahi that my colleague, our Chief Advisor Ross, has been leading out. Anchor organisations are essentially organisations within communities that work to achieve different positive social, economic, environmental outcomes. And so drawing on our economic wellbeing strategy and some engagement amongst our community with different leaders, Ōtorohanga District Council has developed a draft framework that we have socialised with the leadership of Te Nehenehenui at our last joint leadership meeting that Ōtorohanga District Council has with them. It was noted, it was only tabled at that meeting, but it was noted that there may be some synergies that may align with the strategy of Te Nehenehenui moving forward. So we look forward to progressing those discussions as we continue to meet. And the last update on the agenda before I do pass it over to Tony is just a brief update on the Waikeria prison with regard to developments continuing at a steady pace with building consents are expecting to be all signed off either early 2025 and ready for commissioning moving forward. And with regard to part of the extension planning and building applications, expecting to have those lodged late 2025. And there's also a note there around potential works and updates on State Highway 3 and Waikeria Road.
There were just 2 additional updates through Mr. Chair from yesterday's council meeting that we didn't manage to get onto the report that I thought might be of interest to this hui. So yesterday the council resolved to sign the heads of agreement for Waikato local waters done well. So we're on board as well. And yesterday the council also resolved to put in a submission, a position submission, I suppose you'd call it, on the treaty settlement bill. And we're asking for it to be withdrawn and expressing our disappointment that the bill's gone forward.
Sorry, just the treaty principles bill, not the treaty settlement bill, but yeah, we support the settlement.
Oh, tēnā koroa. Just one part for me, please. Te Pungo Te Hapori, this anchor organisation, I haven't heard of it. Is that quite a new concept or has it been around for a while?
It's a concept that I suppose some of the TLAs have bought into around council's role as an anchor institution in the community. So our ability as employers, as contract deliveries to support the economic development within different communities and to leverage of, I guess, the economic wellbeing of our communities. An example of that is around if we're procuring. So what can we, sorry? If we're procuring, what can we procure local? How can we get more local procurement rather than going out of region, for example?
Okay. Yeah. No, kei te koe, yeah.
Kia ora kōrua, mai pātai, kia koe, either of you who can answer this. If I live along Waikeria Road, do I pay my rates to the Ōtorohanga District Council or the Waipā District Council?
Depends on where on Waikeria Road you live. The boundary goes part way along. I can't explain on top of my head exactly where it is, but it depends, yeah.
Okay, so the point I just wanted to make there is ahika, my grandparents' estates down Waikeria Road. So just wondering, with regards to the building consent applications process and the development at Waikeria Prison, whether or not we're engaging, and this is a pathway from probably mana whenua, with WDC or ODC, if that could be clarified for us. We haven't been presented as ratepayers, at least, with the proposed over the bypass. I've seen many plans, but not the actual final. And also, sorry, could we also have access to the CIA report for the proposed bypass?
I can cover that. So The entire prison is within Ōtorohanga District Council. So we are the regulatory agency for that. However, it's Ministry of Corrections who are doing the mahi and leading the work around it. So we're just regulating, I suppose, the applications that are coming through. So all the designations have been signed off and approved, and they went through a process for that. There is a liaison committee as well that the prison lead and run, and as part of the original designation that gave approval to the build, they had to set a liaison committee up with local iwi as well. For the road itself, of course, that's Waikato Potahi, State Highway 3. And the Ministry of Corrections is in negotiations at the moment with NZTA around what that might be. The designation provided for a flyover, but they're now talking about a potential roundabout. So Ōtorohanga District Council is not part of that because that's outside of our district. And Waka Kotahi and Ministry of Corrections are leading that mahi.
However, would it be ODC or WCDC who might request that a CIA report be conducted before, as part of the resource consents application process? Might the councils do that?
The resource consent for any roadworks or for the prison build?
Both for the extensions at the prison and roadworks.
So the prison build has gone through a designation process, so that bypasses the resource consent process. Okay. And there's preliminary earthworks designation, which has just been signed off. There is a stage 2 outline plan, which will be coming through from the Ministry of Corrections. That'll come to Ōtorohanga District Council for our assessment at that point. We're engaging BBO consultants who did the original designation and consenting, I think for Waikato Regional Council as well. They might have worked for them, but certainly they work for Ōtorohanga. And we'll do an assessment at that point as to engagement and what needs to be done. For the roadworks themselves, any application there would go through to Waipā District Council because it's in their rohi.
Thank you.
O tēnā koro. Oh, nui ora.
This is a blank question, but it involves 2 councils. Would it be beneficial, and I apologise because my council's not here, if you joined together with Waitomo District Council? Where would the greatest benefit come? You can answer that question because they're not here. And I think it's a fair question that we've asked ourselves for years.
It's probably a fairer question for the mayor, so I think, of the councils. Yeah.
I just thought we were all together here. I just thought I'd ask you.
I can offer a staff view, a personal view, I guess, around the benefits of 2 small councils coming together. But of course, there's a big political decision around that. And the process needs to get both communities on board as well. So it's quite a process to go through. But I entirely understand the question. Better.
Oh, tēnā koro. Thank you. Have a mover and a seconder, please. So Jamie's going to move, and we need a seconder as well. So Dale Murray is going to second that we receive the report from Ōtorohanga District Council. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Yeah. Mahi for Waikato District. Haere mai.
Tēnā tātou katoa ko hui mai tēnei ata nei rā te mihi atu kia kōrua tahi ngā tiamana o tēnei kaupapa. I'm going to take this, our report as read, but I'd like to speak specifically on 3 particular kaupapa, and that's the Toitu Marae Forum, the Māori Wards referendum, and then lastly our submission on the principles of the Te Tiriti Bill. Just picking up on the point that Gannon talked about in terms of engagement with our people out and about in the community. Our people out in the community, in particular within the Waikato district, have loudly and proudly told us that they're going through engagement fatigue in terms of the amount of engagements that council in particular are doing with our people too much. often also, and if I could speak specifically around the Waikato District Council, we've got so many teams, so many kaimahi, and often the left hand doesn't talk with the right hand. And when we're talking with our team, I take care of the Māori Partnerships team within our Waikato District Council. We speak with about 5 different team members, and they don't even know, 5 different team members within the Waikato District Council, and they don't even know that there's 5 different team members are actually going to the same community, which leads into our key engagement space being the Toitū Marae initiative. Within that, I've got a team of 5, including myself, and our person in there that's taking care of it, Amelia McGarvey, has put together this forum that has been really transformational for our people on the ground. So whilst it's focused around marae, our hapu and our iwi are also included in that space, because if anything, for a lot of our kaimahi, they need to be taken on a journey as to what are those intricate relationships involved with our people out and about. If you're going to a hui and nana's having a go at you, who is it that's going to take them on the journey first before they engage with our people on the ground? So that's what our team does. When I talked about engagement fatigue for our people, it's a bit of an engagement fatigue for our small team. We've got 5, including myself, but there's so many engagements that we're doing. So I guess if anything, just for councils to be very mindful of needing to take staff on a journey first before engaging with the people on the ground is so critical. Getting to understand the history, getting to understand, build the relationship first before you get on with the mahi. So the Toitū Marae Forum, we've had 2 hui so far with our 40 marae within our district, and the last hui that we had was on Monday. Very awesome to be with. The majority of them are trustees and committee members of marae, and what I've got from that is that they've really appreciated Council, Waikato District Council, in particular our team, allowing them to come in and engage in our space. So we actually have held 2 of our hui in council chambers. Majority of them have never been in council before, and they loved it. We fed them, we took care of them, and allowed them to have a kōrero. So our last hui on Monday, we focused on what are the aspirations of our marae, what are the aspirations of our hapu, and how is it that we as a council can deliver on that. So that happened on Monday, which I thought I'd also specifically connect up to the next part, next update, which is around the Māori Wards referendum. We've developed a specific strategy around there to work collaboratively with iwi, Tauri Kura, and Electoral New Zealand, and also our marae, with the intent of ensuring that our people are actually registering on the Māori roll. That's the first important thing. Secondly, increasing civics education within our communities, because I think we were one of the worst for polling last time for Waikato District Council. I think we had about 30% that actually voted, so not very good. So we've got to up our stats in that space. And also doing it collaboratively. So we're working with Waikato Tainui, would love to work with Te Nehenehenui as to how we can extend on that as well. Sharing some learnings around getting some social media profile around needing to increase our whānau to actually join up on the roll and vote. And then also linking back to the Toitu marae, we asked the question of our marae, do you want to have ballot boxes at your marae? And we can do that, and also in our local schools. I'm fortunate to have 2 members in my team that have worked in kura Māori for over 20 years, so their network in amongst our kura within our district is actually very strong. So I would look to build that up for next year to get ballot boxes out there. There's some rules and regulations around that, but Gaileen Kanawa, who connects to Maketu Marae, she's guiding us through that whole journey. But so important, the Māori Wards referendum. And just thirdly, last but not least, just our submission were Waikato District Council unanimously supported for my team to write the submission on behalf of the council. It's going to be laid through to the council, so they're opposing it. Waikato District Council's opposing it, but it's going to be presented through to the council on Friday, and if Te Nehenehenui wants to see a copy of our final submission, we'll send it through as well. And the focus specifically that our draft submission's looking like is based on partnership with iwi, marae and hapu. Koira tāku, that's my update. Tēnā tātou, if you've got any pātai, feel free to ask.
Tēnā koe, Mohi. So, yeah, floor's open for pātai.
So that some of us other councils can maybe look at this. I'm sure you guys be interested for some invites around the place, so that, well, I'm hoping you'll be interested, because I'm pretty sure that I know that there is a thirst for the mahi that you've been doing at Waikato District. I know there's a thirst at Waipā, and it would be our honour and privilege if we could invite you, and I'll go back to our people at Waipā to see how we can do that maybe in the new year. Ka nui te mihi kia koe mai here. I love watching the work that you do in Waikato as a King Street ratepayer in Ngārua Wāhia. It is really pleasing to hear how the Māori space is being flourished, especially since the arrival of the Māori wards and yourself have come to Waikato District and have pua wai and brought back the mana of Māori at our district. So tēnā koutou, Waikato District.
E mihi ana.
Chair.
Oh, you're the
Tēnā
chair.
koe mahi. Nā mihi nuhi ki a koe. Ko taku pātai. The Toitu Marae Initiative, how does that complement or operate alongside the council iwi engagement strategies and initiatives?
So we didn't have any engagement initiatives at all on the ground. So we're developing it as we speak. So we've done it, co-created it. We're co-creating alongside our marae. And the focus on, as I mentioned, the marae aspirations, that's going to be our key driver. To complement that as well, though, we do need a cultural appreciation initiatives that we've also created a framework around that. So the strategy and the framework we've created, we've done it in collab together with our people, co-design from the start. Yeah, so we had nothing. And
just one more quick one, just in case there are other councils that might want to submit or put in a proposal to oppose the bill. Do you have available templates that they could possibly, if they so inclined, might be able to use? I was just attended a submissions hui last night. A lot of organisations think it's really, really difficult when it's not really all that.
Absolutely. We were fortunate on Monday to have Tauri Kura come to present, and they have a full package of how to write a submission, and they come in and they actually run workshops for marae, for community. So I'm fortunate to have a really savvy, she can write submissions, no sweat, but like just for whānau, and marae, and we didn't even know this, that actually you can have tamariki, you can have teenagers do submissions. So they had full package, happy to send our submission through to all of the councils, in particular Te Nehenehenui, and also to connect, use with Tauri Kura, because they've got the package all together. So they can run some workshops online or in person.
Okay, Jamie.
Ka pai mai. I just want to mihi to you. Yes, I understand you when it's burnout and when it's, you know, you're light on the ground and you only have a few to do the work of hundreds. I don't know if it falls into our genetic makeup, but it seems to always fall back on the very few. So ngā mihi to your team. You know, I listened to Judy, the first presenter, when she says we want, you know, working groups, and nobody has the time. No, you know, we're running on eggshells at the moment. So, you know, hence I, you know, asked the pātai, like, who, if we're engaging with these people and then with others, who's going to be able to do the mahi? So, you know, I just want to mihi to you. But in terms of your mahi around you're engaging and getting your stats up, that's a feat on its own. It's not for the weak-hearted. It's big mahi. It's hard, and I acknowledge you for that mahi, because that's, at the end of the day, that's what's going to get us over the line. That's what it's going to keep our nonos in these turu. If we, you know, so ngā mihi to your team and to you. And I just want, you know, to acknowledge our accountability in all of these spaces, kaimahi, councillors, chairs, co-chairs, all of those things, because it does take time and it does take effort to make the relationships work so that other mahi can be done. So I just want to acknowledge, you know, all the initiatives that have been brought here today, because it takes time and it takes mahi. So ngā mihi kia koutou katoa.
Kia ora, not a pātai from me, but just want to acknowledge you and your mahi that you use in your team that are doing in the council there. Hopefully that mahi can inspire other councils, perhaps. And just want to acknowledge you, Whaia. It's good to see a rangatira like yourself, Whaia, sitting in the council. Kia ora.
I'll just get you to turn your light off, Shannon. Yeah, cheers, man.
Kia ora, mahi, ngā mihi kia koe. With regards to voting, this is very, very important. I do believe we should be having that conversation. I can honestly say that the rangatei amongst different whai are talking about that. And for trustees here, you got our staff here and you got our CE here as well. It's something that we can, I'll be raising at our next meeting. Just this clarity also, voting, even non-Māori when voting. You know, so it's about getting, and it's not only about the general, it's about the local election as well. So how can we improve that? If the latest hikoi never encourage people to vote, I don't know what will. So kia ora, carry on with your mate.
Kia ora, Ronnie. Okay, Tilly.
Can I have one more say? Look, I'd just like to encourage, thank you for all of the comments, but really the council that we've got at the moment is dynamic.
In the beginning, we were doing all of this work on our own, and I encouraged them to. We need a team. So, and the team that we've got at the moment is just fantastic. So that's where it's at. Your whole community, your whole council, everybody comes together eventually, and it's working for us. So kia ora.
Kia ora, ngā mihi, Tali. Tali, are you happy to move receipt of this report?
I shall move the report.
Seconder,
Thank you.
please. Jamie, all those in favour, please say aye. Against, thank you. Tēnā koe, Waihi, yeah. Okay, so last but not least is Waipā District. Corina Kirsty.
Yeah.
Leave my water behind.
Tēnā koutou katoa. I'd just like to acknowledge Tiffany Wilson, who is joining us. You may be aware that we've have vacancies within our strategic partnerships team with the move of Te Mako Tiruki to Hamilton City Council and Gary Knighton to South Waikato District Council. So Tiffany is one of our team providing support to the executive elected members and our wider staff. And in particular, will be providing support, leading the development of our tangata whenua partnership framework, which Te Mako started together with Tiffany in 2023. And yeah, we'll speak to that shortly, but I'd just like to respectfully request that the report be taken as read and highlight some key points. So Waipā District Council was one of a number of councils who opted to develop an enhanced annual plan this year, and which was adopted in June of 2024. So we're now progressing the development of a 25-34 long-term plan with some really significant financial challenges. We've got some debt constraints that really mean that limits what we're able to deliver for our communities. So there has been a pause put on some of our cornerstone projects, including the establishment of Te Arawai, our museum, which tells the stories of the land wars and provides for the protection of our taonga. But whilst those projects are paused, there is some operational funding that is included in the long-term plan to ensure that conversations can continue, that we can explore opportunities for partnership and collaboration with mana whenua and iwi, so that we can provide a museum that tells the stories, something that we can be proud of not only locally but regionally and nationally. I'd also like to speak on Ahuaki, our Waipā Community Spatial Plan. We began work on this in 2020, and the purpose of this plan, it's a 30-year plus blueprint for our district. And the purpose is really about community wellbeing, ensuring that we successfully deliver on our organisational vision to build connected communities. So we engaged Tiffany back in 2020 to provide support to us in his role as mana whenua and iwi engagement lead. The council at that time purposefully decided that they wished to develop this plan in partnership with mana whenua and iwi. And so through COVID, we had a number of zui, and then more recently we've had in-person hui. We've had a partnership workshop whereby mana whenua PCG representatives together with iwi representatives and our elected members actually developed a hybrid scenario which has formed the basis of the plan that we engaged with mana whenua iwi key stakeholders last year and community. We undertook our most comprehensive informal community engagement program ever. We went out to 11 towns and villages. We had over 40 community events, and we received over 2,000 pieces of feedback. We've had several partnership hui subsequently, and that came together where we went out for public consultation in October and November of this year. We've now received submissions and we've had hearings, and we will be deliberating on all of the submissions received in February of 2025 with the intent that Council will approve the plan in March. And this becomes our key strategic planning document. It will drive everything that we as an organisation do moving forward. It will drive all of our future planning, our prioritisation, investment, and how we go about delivering projects and services on the ground. It will inform things such as our economic wellbeing strategy, a climate change strategy, as well as all future long-term and annual plans. So it also provides a very solid foundation for ongoing partnership with mana whenua and iwi. One of the things that strongly came out of the development of Ahuaki was aspirations, mana whenua and iwi, for Māori housing. Initially, we talked about papakainga, but what we heard was the importance of housing, not only in rural environments, but also in urban environments. And on the back of that, we then progressed the development of a papakainga plan change to our district plan. So there is an update within the report there, which we've used consultancy support from James Fettu, who has been leading that, together with representatives from our staff planning team. There has been engagement with mana whenua and iwi and at marae level. Draft provisions have been prepared, and the intention is that they will be shared with you at a staff level in the first instance, and for feedback. Before then, there is public notification. There has been somewhat of a pause put on this project, and that has been to ensure that there is consistency with national direction, but also to ensure that we don't lose sight of the mana whenua and iwi aspirations that have been shared with us. So the intent is to connect with your staff over the summer. And just in relation to procurement, so Ōtorohanga mentioned an anchor institution framework, and this is something that Waipā developed and approved earlier this year. It's really about community wellbeing, how we can enhance community wellbeing, and recognising the role of council as an anchor within the community, but also the role of other anchors, large organisations such as educational organisations, universities, schools, kura, but also health organisations, community groups, large-scale businesses who employ a lot of people and who contribute significantly to the economy. So we developed a framework that has been approved, and we're now driving an implementation plan. There are a number of different component parts of that framework, but some of them are around procurement, employment and workforce development, education, community collaboration. So we're hoping that we can build on the great partnerships, relationships that we already have through our JMAs and with mana whenua directly. Our executive team recently met with the executive team of Nehenehenui, and there were two focus areas that we're going to further explore through further kōrero relating to employment and housing. And this really is hoping that we can build on that work of that anchor institution. So how can we work together to ensure that the aspirations of mana whenua, iwi, and our wider communities can be met, enhanced? We're really excited about the work that we've been able to do with Waikato Tainui in the procurement and education employment space. We've got a pilot that is being developed, and we're looking at being able to promote that for some funding through the Mayoral Task Force for Jobs. We've hosted a Pākehā event for Waikato Tainui, but acknowledged that a number of businesses from within Te Nehenehenui Rohe also were part of that event, and we've been able to then start to have conversations. One of our requirements is that businesses, when they come to procure council services, are SHE qualified, and we're looking with Waikato Tainui at how we can support them to train their people, to make it easy, to remove obstacles to becoming suppliers to council. And so that's something that we're also keen to explore with Te Nehenehenui. Finally, just in relation to the report, there is a section on climate change. We have employed a principal sustainability and climate change advisor who is doing great work to drive an improvement program plan across our organisation. And there are 3 key work streams that are identified in the report relating to governance, to skills and performance. That's about enhancing the skills of our elected members and staff, and also systems and settings. So one of the key actions that we are focusing on currently is the development of a climate change strategy. We are hoping to connect with iwi. We acknowledge that great work is already being done in this space. So keen to build on that and to connect with you directly. Yeah, that's probably that I'd like to speak to now, but unless Tepani, you'd like to talk to the partnership framework. Just in relation to the partnership framework, we did, I guess, facilitate conversations as between mana whenua and iwi, supported by council staff, by Te Moko, but really for those conversations to happen, and that came, I guess, progressed to a hui with elected members and council staff in April of this year. Acknowledge that we've been slow moving since then, but really keen to pick that up in early 2025, and excited to see what is happening and with our partner councils, and to connect with them and have them share their insights with us. So yeah, really keen to be able to progress that work. And this is really about moving Waipā District Council from engaging with mana whenua and iwi to actually developing and enhancing strong, authentic, meaningful, effective and enduring partnerships. Yeah, thank you.
My apologies, Kirsha, I didn't realise we were going to go more into that. So with Te Makau leaving, there was a lapse there, and then we've had a new CEO come on, who is of course familiar to many of you from the Raukawa days, with Steph was managing the environment team there. Anyway, that just meant that there was a lag from where things are at the moment. It's with council to take what whānau have spoken with us about in terms of what they envisage a relationship to be like, alongside of the JMA arrangements and other formal agreements that council has, and produce a series of options to take back to mana whenua and iwi, and just say, well, you know, let's have a corridor about this. So that's the next action is on council to then go and talk with you and others within the rohe. So you watch this space, and plus the other one's been slowing it down is me. So I got a couple of other balls in the air, so I've just need to do that so we get something going in early 2025. Kia ora.
Kia ora kōrua. I have a couple of questions. The first is around Te Arawai, and really interested in keeping abreast at what's happening around there in terms of us having a space to tell our stories. Secondly, just in relation to draft plan change 23, I guess it's kind of a bit of a concern for us in the Waipā rohe and mana whenua, as we know that those who are in need of urgent housing are our people. So I wondered if you could elaborate in terms of why. I know you state here that you're waiting for national direction. It just seems like Māori are always waiting for someone And, you know, honestly, our people are destitute. They cannot afford market rentals. A few I see have been able to secure rentals in the new, some of the new homes in Kiki. They're the exception. They're the ones that can afford $650 a week. So yes, this is a concern for us, and also how you have aligned the plan change with Nehenehenui's housing strategy.
Kia ora, through the chair, just in relation to the Papakainga plan change. So there has been engagement undertaken informally through the development of the plan change led by James. I don't know the detail of that engagement in terms of Te Nehenehenui specifically. I would need to follow up and come back to you, which I can do as a priority. With regard to, I guess, where we're at currently, so the work has progressed to the point where we have draft provisions that has been shared with Ngā iwi tōpua Waipā. And I understood that James was going back out to those that had provided input to this point, but I will provide an update. Absolutely hear you, Maria, in terms of the impacts in terms of affordability and provision of housing. We've heard that very strongly through the development of Ahuaki, our Waipā Community Spatial Plan, which is why we were so keen to push the development of this Papakainga plan change particularly. It's not stopped. The work is continuing, as mentioned, I guess, there has been a slowing down to public notification, but I will certainly feed back to the planning team the concerns about the impacts and time delays. I guess from the council staff perspective, we're wanting to ensure that we don't proceed with public notification and then there is I guess a change in direction in what we've got is in conflict. So it's ensuring that we do it right. We do it once and we do it right. It's been a long time coming, so we want to ensure that we are giving effect to the aspirations that have been shared with us, but also meeting those central government requirements. But I will provide an update. I will take that as a priority action and come back to you. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Jamie?
Kia ora. So when you talk about Papakainga and frameworks, the Papakainga that sits out at Pohara, does it not sit under Waipā? It does. So then my question to, well, in general, I'm not sure if Waitomo, well, we've built a Papakainga in Taharoa, which sits under Waitomo District Council. They had no parameters around it. We've designed our own parameters around it as a whānau. But more in particular, when you talk about Te Nehenehenui, interesting. What is your fullest parameters around Papakainga? Just.
In what regards?
In terms of the framework and how they structure them going through for consent. Because I presume when we did ours, they didn't have anything. So we didn't even have a notion to come to Te Nehenehenui. Although now that we need compliance for road naming, we have gone through into the trust and it's a little bit murky.
Just from our perspective, we're still working with each of the councils to make sure that we can support any Papakainga applications as they come through. So from out, we're not trying to be a decision maker, more of a supporter of any of our hapu, marae and whānau that apply.
So Jamie, to answer your question, so under the current district plan, there was no thing there. However, in the new district plan, or was stated by us when we drafted it up, that it'd be similar, if not better, than Waikato Tainui's. Maybe our Alex Bell from Waitomo District Council could clarify the changes to the papakainga. Kia ora.
Thank you, Ronnie. So yes, I think our provisions were, I think it was for 8 papakainga units, but we are through the hearings process looking at changing some of those rules to allow for more. I obviously can't speak to that at the moment because it's with the hearings panel for decision, but we're very closely aligned with the approach that Waikato District took through their district plan. So it's looking to more broaden it even more than what we had originally discussed through the whare meetings early on.
Yeah, and it's not to have a dig at the papakainga, it's just to say that we're talking collaboratively, and so we're all at the table. Let's all bear some of that burden.
The Chair, I just wonder if, so with regard to your reference to pohara, my understanding is that that required resource consent. And so we want to make housing accessible. Waipā District Council approved a housing strategy that aligns to the strategy of the Waikato Housing Initiative and also to our neighbouring partner council, Hamilton City Council. Really, we're wanting to enhance the provision of affordable housing. So the papakainga plan change is intended to make the provision of papakainga development more enabling, as well as, I guess, district plan changes. We're also looking at how we partner with other organisations to provide for access to housing, and that might include working in collaboration with mana whenua and iwi. We've sold a piece of council-owned land to Kāinga Ora to provide for housing for over 55s. There are other partnership opportunities that Council is keen to explore, looking at how we utilise our own land holdings and work in partnership with others. Kia ora.
Thanks, Kirsty. I've got a question from Gannon online. Gannon?
Look, I think it was answered by the previous speaker in regards to, for most of our whānau, it's actually really to have enabling provisions to allow us to do activities such as papakainga. And this has been done before by other councils. Waikato have enabling provisions for papakainga. I'm not saying that that's going to be the same as Waipā, but I think it's the more enabling, the more simpler for our whānau to go through this process. I think that's a key element to what we want to see. And it's good to see you there, Stephen, amongst the working with local government. I'm happy that you're there. Kia ora tātou.
I think just on the back, because it's not my story, it is Tiffany's and them story. But I can confidently say the surfing ride that Pohara took with Waipā District Council has helped us immensely inform the start of our strategy and going forward with the PC23. So, cool. Arohana kia koutou, Ngāti Koroki Kahukura, who had to do the surf ride with Waipā District Council. But let's hope that we don't have to have any more surf rides for the rest of our whānau that go through this process. Tēnā tātou.
Are you happy to move the report, Belle Marie, and seconded by Jamie? All those in favour, please say aye. Against? O tēnā koe, Kirsty, kora ko Tiffany.
Hello, mate. I've just got I don't know if it's a pātai or a statement, but just in regards to the plan change. So we have participated in a couple of hui online amongst other river iwi. We have requested our own separate hui with the Waipā District Council. And just bringing it back to the provisions listed in our JMA around planning processes. We don't want to get to a point or a stage where the council are ready to notify a plan that we have not actually fed into or been a part of, because I think there'll be issues across the board for everyone. So just wanting to put that plug in there that we need to action that process ASAP in terms of the planning provisions, and look at what that scope of the plan change is, Te Nehenehenui's input into that, and then move forward. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Train. Ngā mihi. Okay, just conscious of time, so we're now going to move into public excluded to do our last item. So can I have a mover and seconder, please, to do that? So Shannon's going to move and Tilly's going to second. All those in favour, please say aye. We'll just have to give a few minutes so that